Sailors found dead after USS Fitzgerald collision. The bodies of sailors who were missing after a container vessel crashed into the USS Fitzgerald on Saturday have been found in flooded berthing cabins. The 10,000-ton guided missile destroyer USS Fitzgerald collided with the 29,000-ton ACX Crystal container ship, some 56 nautical miles southwest of Yokosuka, Japan, at about 2:30 a.m. local time on June 17th. Marine tracking data show the Philippine-flagged ACX Crystal performed a sudden 180-degree turn in the high-traffic shipping lane shortly before the crash. The container ship, which is significantly heavier than the Fitzgerald, plowed into the destroyer and severely damaged its starboard side. Berthing cabins where 116 sailors were sleeping were among the compartments that were flooded. According to the Japanese Coast Guard, about 400 vessels pass through the shipping lane every day, and 3 major accidents have occurred in the area over the past 5 years. Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews. Quite a few horrible ship accidents have taken place in recent years.
France makes final effort to salvage cargo ship before it runs aground. France will engage in a last-ditch attempt to salvage the stricken cargo ship Modern Express. If the attempt fails, the vessel is expected to run aground on the French coast on Monday or Tuesday. Modern Express was traveling from Gabon to France when it lost propulsion power in the Bay of Biscay, 200 nautical miles off the southern coast of France. Rescue vessels tried to tow the ship to port, but rough seas thwarted their attempts. The Modern Express is 164 meters long. It is carrying 3,600 tons of timber and digging machines and 300 tons of fuel. On Tuesday, the ship started listing at an angle of between 40 and 50 degrees. A distress signal was sent out, and its 22 crew members were promptly rescued by Spanish helicopters. A final attempt to tow the vessel will be made on Monday. If it fails, the ship will strike France's southwestern coast between Monday night and Tuesday morning. Reuters reported that there was no sign that fuel was leaking from the Modern Express, but authorities will escort the ship to limit any environmental damage if it runs aground.
More than 150 people rescued after Spanish ferry catches fire at sea. A fire broke out on a Spanish ferry traveling from the tourist island of Mallorca on Tuesday afternoon, forcing 150 people to abandon ship. The Spanish ferry with 156 people on board was traveling from Palma de Mallorca to Valencia when it caught fire. The fire reportedly broke out on one of the vessel's car decks. The ferry issued a distress signal at 1:50 local time. All passengers and crew members abandoned ship shortly afterwards and were rescued by another passing ferry. The operator of the ferry said the cause of the fire remains unclear.
11 missing after cargo ships collide in Hong Kong. 11 Chinese crew members are missing after their cargo ship collided on Monday with a container vessel and sank in waters just off Hong Kong. The accident between a Chinese cargo ship and a container vessel happened just outside Hong Kong maritime territory, nearly 5 kilometers south of the island of Po Toi. The Chinese cargo ship started sinking soon after the collision. 11 of its crew members are missing. One of the crew was picked up by a fishing boat and taken to Hong Kong. He's now recovering in hospital. Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews.
Ferry sinks in South Korea, 4 dead, nearly 300 missing. Nearly 300 people, most of them students, are missing after a multi-story ferry carrying almost 500 people sank off South Korea's southwestern coast. The South Korean ferry ran into trouble as it was travelling from Incheon to the southern resort island of Jeju early on Wednesday morning. A South Korean newspaper reported thick fog may have obscured visibility, causing the ferry to run aground on a reef at around 8:30 a.m. Passengers described hearing a loud impact before the ferry began to list heavily on its side. Many jumped from the ship into freezing waters as the vessel began to sink. After receiving a distress signal, Navy and civilian vessels rushed to the scene. It took roughly 2 hours for the ferry to roll on its side, completely turn over and capsize. Witnesses say many people likely remain trapped inside the ferry. The Seawall ship has a capacity of 921 people. More than 450 passengers were on board, including 324 high school students on a school trip. At least 4 deaths have been reported, but a final casualty count is not yet available. There are conflicting reports as to the exact cause of the accident, as despite reports of thick fog, Korea's meteorological agency says skies were clear on Wednesday morning.